Hi, Digital Arts. We're going to be talking about coloring tools today. So, particular, we're going to be looking at the gradient tool and the paint bucket tool. Using this image here, the first thing I want to do is show you the paint bucket. So, the paint bucket is the best for filling in solid color. If you notice in the options bar up here, you can change the blend mode, which can do some really interesting things. You can play around that however you want. Just remember, you always have a history, so don't ever be shy about trying something different just to see what happens. You can always go into the history and undo it. Opacity just talks about how see-through or solid the color is. And then tolerance, again, just like when we were talking about the magic wand, it goes over how close to the edging you want to be, or if it's going to be really, really picky about where it goes. For the paint bucket tool, to change the color, you go down to the color pickers down here. So this color picker here is for choosing a foreground color, and this one down below is for choosing a background color. The cool thing about this tool is you can click on this little up-down arrow and you can swap your foreground and background colors. You only need that if you're really playing with some, different gradients, or if you're erasing, that's going to play a role. But for the paint bucket, you just need the foreground color. When you click on the color picker, the menu pops up. The square in the middle is where you can choose your hue, or basically how light or dark of a version of that color you want. And then this bar right in the center will choose the actual color. So let's pick maybe a darker color for my background. All this stuff here is all web-based. So colors, when we're talking about digital colors, they have numbers associated with them. Also a hex key. So for example, if you really want perfect white and you're not sure whether you can do it with the color picker, you can just type in 6 Fs, and that is perfect white. If you type in 6 zeros, that's black. Don't worry otherwise about the combination, because I can show you all kinds of different ways to choose colors. So I'm just going to pick one color that I want for my background. Go ahead and click OK. And I'm going to just click in my picture, and you'll notice that it fills in. Now, if you notice, there were some key areas where it kind of filled in where I probably didn't want to. The reason for that is because in the drawing, there were some open spots. So let's go ahead and undo the color and try to figure out, you can see right there how it's open. So yeah, this can be kind of picky, but the best thing to do is to just fill in. Using my paintbrush, I'm going to just kind of close that in a little bit. And don't worry about making it look perfect, because if you're far away, you're not going to really see that. I'm going to go ahead and close in my rose stems. All right. Now let's go ahead and try it again and see what's still filled in. All right, so the leaves are still kind of playing a little bit, but instead of wasting your time and trying to use my pencil to fill that in, let's go ahead and just now how to fill it in, how to block it off. You noticed how the stem did not choose the color anymore. That's because I stopped it. So you'd really have to go kind of carefully go around and check and see what's still open. The other tool I'm going to show you is the gradient tool. So the gradient tool is a really fun tool because now you can blend colors together. I'm going to use the gradient tool to fill in the petals of the rose. So before you use the gradient tool, you have to select your shapes. Otherwise, if you notice, when I try to use my gradient tool, it just covers everything. So the wand is the easiest tool for you to select a shape because these are all solid white. Let's say I want to fill this petal in. So I'm going to grab my gradient tool, and if you notice in the options bar, you have all kinds of things, fun little tools to play with. But in particular, I want you to grab the gradient editor. So let's look at the different parts of the gradient editor first. If you notice, you have these little boxes here. These are called color stops. So color stops basically talk about where the gradient stops and starts. And what colors do you want the gradients to be? Down in the color picker here, once you've selected your color stop, you can change your colors to whatever colors you want. So let's say I want it to blend to something other than black. Click on that color stop, choose a different color, and you got the point. So now you can see that these two colors kind of blend together to make this really beautiful purple on its own. Think about if you had paints and you had these two colors and you let your paintbrush mix those colors together, that's what would happen as well. Let's say I wanted to add a third color. What do? So put your mouse on the bottom of the gradient bar and just click, and you notice a new color stop appears. Maybe I want to blend a lighter color in there. So look at and see what happens now. You can change how far the gradient goes. These little boxes also change like where the colors pull into, and you can use as many color stops as you want. So once you're okay with it, go ahead and just click OK. And the way the gradient works is you have to basically draw a line with your mouse. So I'm going to hold my mouse down where I want it to start, and I'm going to draw a line. What's going to determine the change of gradient is how long you draw the line and what direction you draw the line. So let's say I do a really short one right here in that direction. See how the gradient doesn't really blend really well? Whereas if I draw a longer line, you'll notice that maybe my line was a little bit too long where you can't really see the pink anymore. So you kind of have to play around and see what works best. Try to figure out which direction works really well. So that's pretty nice. So right now, if you look in the options bar, you'll notice I have a linear blend. If you click in it, you can see all kinds of other types of blends you can play with. So how about let's try a radial blend. So again, I'm going to use my magic wand. I'm going to select another petal, and this time I want a radial blend. So again, I'm going to hold my mouse down to start it, draw a line, and notice how it creates a round blend. Let's see what the other ones do. Grab another petal. This time I'm going to grab a angle blend. So see how it starts in the center and just kind of creates this angular thing. So there's kind of some fun things. You can also do a diamond blend and a reflected blend. If you want, you could play around and see which one you like better. The only thing about these types of blends are they're not as blendy. You can also change the modes, and again, I'm not going to show you, but you can kind of see what happens with it, and you can change the opacity. So if you have any questions about how to change colors, how to play with your gradients, or how to use the paint bucket, just let me know.